The first thing I saw when I opened the bridal suite door was a pair of enormous red clown shoes sitting where my wedding dress had been. For a few seconds, I honestly thought I had walked into the wrong room. Then I saw the rainbow wig, the white gloves, the bright yellow jumpsuit with giant blue buttons. And taped across the front of the costume was a handwritten note. Since you insist on making a joke out of this family, you might as well dress like one. My hands went numb. Rachel, my maid of honor Lauren, came up behind me carrying 2 glasses of champagne. The moment she saw the costume, one glass slipped from her hand and shattered against the floor. Oh my God! I couldn't answer. I was 32 years old, less than 2 hours away from marrying the man I loved, standing inside a beautiful hotel ballroom in Charleston, South Carolina, staring at a clown costume where my custom wedding gown should have been. My dress had cost almost $4,000. I had saved for it myself. It was ivory satin with long lace sleeves, tiny pearl buttons down the back, and a soft train that reminded me of something my grandmother might have worn. And now it was gone. Lauren grabbed the note. Who did this? Already knew. There was only one person who had spent the last year telling me I wasn't classy enough for her son. My future mother-in-law, Patricia Reynolds. I looked around the room like my dress might somehow appear behind a chair. It was here this morning. I know, Lauren said. I saw it. My wedding planner had delivered the dress at 9. The photographer had even taken a picture of it hanging in front of the window. Now the hanger was empty. Picked up my phone. 3 missed calls from Patricia. 1 text. Opened it. I hope you finally understand that some women simply aren't meant to be brides. My stomach dropped. Lauren read over my shoulder. That psycho took your dress. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. I wanted some reasonable explanation. Maybe Patricia had moved it. Maybe there had been some misunderstanding. But there had been too many misunderstandings already. My name is Rachel Bennett, and before I met Patricia Reynolds, I thought difficult mothers-in-law were mostly exaggerated for television. I had no idea how far one woman could go when she believed another woman was stealing the most important person in her life. I met my fiancé, Ethan, 3 years earlier at a marketing conference in Atlanta. He was 34, funny without trying too hard, and calm in a way I desperately needed. I had grown up in a loud family. My parents argued, forgave each other, argued again, and somehow still stayed married for 35 years. Ethan's family looked completely different. Quiet, polished, controlled. His father, Richard, was a retired attorney. His younger sister, Natalie, taught elementary school. And Patricia ran their family like a company where nobody was allowed to resign. The first time Ethan brought me to dinner, Patricia looked me up and down before smiling. So you're Rachel? Yes. I've heard so much. Something about the way she said it made the hairs on my arms rise. During dinner, she asked where I went to college, what my parents did for a living, how much I traveled, and whether I planned to continue working after marriage. When I told her I owned a small digital marketing business, she smiled. That's adorable. Ethan laughed nervously. It's not small anymore, Mom. She ignored him. After dinner, she showed me family photographs. Most were of Ethan. Football, graduation, law school, Christmas, vacations. She touched one framed photograph of him at 22. He's always been special. I know. She looked at me. No, I don't think you do. That should have been my warning. But Ethan apologized during the drive home. She takes time to warm up. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. For the first year, Patricia's attacks were small enough to question. She bought me a dress 2 sizes too small for Thanksgiving. Oh, she said when it didn't fit. I thought you were more petite. She invited Ethan's ex-girlfriend to a family barbecue. She's practically family. She repeatedly introduced me as Ethan's friend, long after we were engaged. Whenever I complained, Ethan said the same thing. She doesn't mean anything by it. Then wedding planning began. That was when Patricia stopped pretending. She hated our venue. She hated my flowers. She hated the menu. She hated that Lauren was maid of honor instead of Natalie. Most of all, she hated my wedding dress. The first time she saw a picture, she stared at it silently. Then she said, "That's what you chose." I smiled tightly. "Yes. It's very dramatic. I love it." She turned toward Ethan. "Your grandmother would have hated that neckline." Ethan frowned. "Grandma never even met Rachel." "That isn't the point." But that became Patricia's favorite trick. She turned every choice into an insult against Ethan's family. If we chose chocolate cake, she said his grandmother loved vanilla. If we chose a Saturday wedding, she complained Richard played golf on Saturdays. If I disagreed, I was disrespectful. 3 weeks before the wedding, Patricia cornered me during my bridal shower. "You know Ethan had other options." I stared at her. "Excuse me." She smiled while guests laughed across the room. Beautiful women. Established families. Women who understood our traditions. My heart pounded. Then I guess it's fortunate Ethan chose the woman he loves. Her smile disappeared. "You think you won." "There wasn't a competition." "There always is." I told Ethan that night. For once, he didn't defend her. He called Patricia and told her to apologize. She refused. Instead, she cried. By morning, Ethan's father was calling him selfish. Natalie texted that I was tearing the family apart. Somehow Patricia insulted me, and I became the villain. Still, I didn't cancel the wedding. I loved Ethan, and I believed he was finally beginning to see what his mother was doing. Then came the morning of our wedding. I was sitting in the bridal suite when Patricia unexpectedly appeared around 11. She carried a garment bag. "I brought you something." I stiffened. "What?" "A peace offering." Inside was a white silk robe embroidered with my new initials. Rachel Reynolds. It was beautiful. For one foolish moment I thought everything might actually be okay. "Thank you." Patricia hugged me. It was the first time she ever had. "I want today to be perfect," she whispered. Then she asked if I wanted coffee. Said yes. Left. An hour later, I stepped out to have my hair finished. When I returned, my wedding dress was gone. And the clown costume was waiting. Lauren was already calling hotel security. Called Ethan. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. My chest tightened. Then someone knocked. The wedding planner, Melissa, entered looking pale. "Rachel, we checked the hallway cameras." Understood. "And?" She hesitated. "Your mother-in-law left the bridal floor carrying a garment bag." Lauren cursed under her breath. "Where is she?" Melissa looked at me. "That's the problem." "What?" "She left the hotel." I stared at her. "Then call her." "We did." "And?" Melissa swallowed. "She said she doesn't have your dress." My phone suddenly buzzed. A message from Ethan. Opened it. "Rachel, please don't panic. My mom says there's been a misunderstanding. I'm coming upstairs." I read it twice. A misunderstanding. My wedding dress was missing. A clown costume had been left in its place. His mother had practically confessed through text. And Ethan was calling it a misunderstanding. That familiar disappointment began rising in my chest. Then Lauren's phone rang. She answered. Her face changed instantly. "Rachel." "What?" She slowly lowered the phone. That was hotel security. My heart stopped. They found Patricia's car. "Where?" "In the parking garage." "So she's still here." Lauren shook her head. "No. But your dress is in her trunk." Relief rushed through me so quickly my knees almost gave out. "Then get it." Lauren didn't move. "Rachel, there's something else." The room became silent. "What?" "The dress is still inside the garment bag." She swallowed. "But someone cut it into pieces." For several seconds, I couldn't understand what Lauren had said. Cut into pieces. Those words didn't belong in the same sentence as wedding dress. I pushed past her and headed for the door. "Rachel, wait. I need to see it." "Maybe you shouldn't." "I said I need to see it." My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care. Melissa led us downstairs through a service hallway so guests wouldn't see me. I was still wearing my silk getting-ready robe, my hair pinned perfectly, my makeup half finished. I looked like a bride without a wedding. Hotel security had opened Patricia's trunk after she gave permission over the phone. Apparently she had told them they were welcome to search because she had nothing to hide. The garment bag lay inside. My hands shook as Melissa unzipped it. I knew the dress immediately, or what was left of it. The lace sleeves had been sliced apart. The train was cut straight through the middle. Pearls I had watched the seamstress sew by hand were scattered across the bottom of the bag. Someone had taken scissors to the bodice. Covered my mouth. Lauren whispered, "Oh, Rachel." I touched one torn sleeve. That dress wasn't just expensive. My grandmother had given me the money for it before she died. She had known she wouldn't live to see my wedding. One afternoon, while I sat beside her hospital bed, she pressed an envelope into my hand. "For something beautiful," she said. I tried giving it back. She refused. Months later, when I found that dress, I knew exactly what her gift would become. Patricia knew that story. I had told her, and she destroyed it anyway. My knees weakened. Lauren caught my arm. "I'm okay." "You're not." "I have to be." That sentence sounded painfully familiar. I had spent my whole life trying to keep things together when other people broke them. My father had been the loud one in my childhood home. My mother was the peacemaker. Whenever Dad lost his temper, Mom would whisper, "Don't make it worse." So I became good at swallowing anger. I smiled when I wanted to scream. I forgave quickly. I explained people's cruelty for them. That was probably why I tolerated Patricia for so long. Then Ethan appeared at the end of the hallway. He rushed toward me. "Rachel." I stepped back. He stopped when he saw the dress. His face went white. "Oh my God." I watched him carefully. "You didn't know." "What?" "No. Your mother did this." He stared into the trunk. "I don't know that." Lauren laughed bitterly. "Are you serious?" "Lauren, please." "No." She walked out with the dress. "It's in her trunk." "What exactly are we investigating here?" Ethan rubbed both hands over his face. "My mom says someone must have put it there." Actually laughed. Not because anything was funny. Because sometimes a lie becomes so ridiculous that your body doesn't know how else to react. "Someone." That's what she said. "Who?" "I don't know." "Did the mystery person also write her text?" His eyes dropped. That hurt more than I expected. "Ethan, I'm trying to figure this out." "No. You're trying to find an explanation where your mother isn't guilty. That's not fair." I pointed at the shredded dress. "That is not fair." He went silent. Melissa stepped between us gently. "We have about 90 minutes before the ceremony." Reality hit me. Guests were already arriving. My parents were downstairs. Our photographer was setting up. A string quartet was preparing to play. The wedding had been planned for 14 months. And I had no dress. Lauren squeezed my hand. "We can find another one. In 90 minutes. We'll find something." I'm not getting married in something random from a department store while his mother celebrates destroying my real dress. Ethan's expression tightened. "She's not celebrating." "How do you know?" He didn't answer. I suddenly realized something. "Where is she?" "What?" "Your mother. Where is she?" "She said she went home." "Why?" "She was upset." I stared at him. "She destroyed my wedding dress and she's upset?" "She says you accused her before anyone knew what happened." Lauren stepped forward. "Rachel, I swear I'm going to." I grabbed her arm. "No." For once, I didn't want someone else fighting my battle. I turned back to Ethan. "Call her." "Rachel." "Put her on speaker." He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "You already spoke to her." "Yes." "When?" "On the way down." "And?" "She was crying." Course she was. Patricia's tears had rescued her from consequences for years. I had watched it happen again and again. She insulted me, cried, and Ethan comforted her. She manipulated Natalie, cried, and Richard apologized to her. She ruined holidays, then became the victim because everyone was attacking her. I finally understood that her tears weren't always weakness. Sometimes they were weapons. What did she tell you? Ethan swallowed. She said you embarrassed her this morning. Blinked. How? She said you told some bridesmaids she was controlling. I never said that. She also said you told hotel staff not to let her near the bridal suite. That's a lie. I know. The words surprised me. You know. He nodded slowly. I checked with Melissa. For 1 second hope returned. Maybe Ethan was finally seeing it. Then he ruined it. But I still think we need to calm down before we accuse her of deliberately destroying your dress. I looked at him. My heart felt strangely quiet. I think part of me knew right then that the wedding had already changed. Maybe not cancelled. Not yet. But something had broken. And it wasn't lace. Lauren pulled me aside. Rachel, listen to me. My cousin owns a bridal boutique 15 minutes away. I'm calling her. I shook my head. She won't have anything ready. She might. 10 minutes later, we received the first piece of good news. Lauren's cousin had a sample gown in my size. Simple. Elegant. Every. She could bring it immediately. I cried when Lauren told me. Not because it was my dream dress. Because someone was trying to save my day instead of explain away the person destroying it. Then Melissa approached us again. Her expression was worse than before. Rachel, we found something on the security footage. What now? She held up her tablet. The video showed Patricia leaving my bridal suite with my garment bag. That alone was enough. But 20 minutes later, another camera caught her entering an empty hotel conference room. She stayed inside for 14 minutes. When she came out, she was carrying the garment bag again. And in her other hand was something small and silver. Scissors. Ethan stared at the screen. Nobody spoke. Then his phone rang. He answered. Mom. Patricia's voice was loud enough that I heard her. Ethan, you need to stop this wedding. My entire body went cold. Ethan looked at me. Why? There was a pause. Then Patricia said something none of us expected. Because Rachel hasn't told you the truth about why she's marrying you. What would you have done in Rachel's place? Would you still go through with the wedding after seeing proof that your future mother-in-law destroyed your dress? Especially if your fiancé kept defending her? And what do you think Patricia was about to claim Rachel was hiding? Share your thoughts in the comments. For a moment nobody moved. Ethan still had the phone pressed to his ear. Patricia's voice came through the speaker again. She's hiding something from you. I felt my stomach twist. What exactly am I hiding? Yes. There was silence. Then Patricia said, ask her why she really pushed for this wedding date. I frowned. What are you talking about? Ethan looked at me. Rachel. I could hear the suspicion growing in his voice. And that hurt more than Patricia's accusation. We picked this date together. Patricia laughed softly. No. She pushed for it. That's not true, I said. Yes, it is. Ethan rubbed his forehead. Mom, what are you saying? I'm saying she rushed this marriage because she wants access to your family. The hallway went completely still. Lauren stared at the phone. I almost couldn't believe what I was hearing. Access to what? Patricia answered immediately. Money. I laughed once. Hard, stunned sound. There it is. Ethan looked uncomfortable. Mom. She owns some little online business, Ethan. You have no idea what she really earns. My chest tightened. She knew exactly what I earned. Chad asked. Repeatedly. My company had done well for years. I paid for half the wedding. I paid for my own dress. I owned my condo before I ever met Ethan. But Patricia had never cared about facts when suspicion worked better. Then she said something worse. I have proof. Ethan's expression changed. What proof? I found messages. I stared at the phone. What messages? She's been talking to someone about your family's trust. My pulse jumped. Ethan's family did have a trust. I knew about it because Ethan told me after we got engaged. I had never asked for details. Never asked what it was worth. Never asked what I would receive. Patricia knew that too. "Send them," Ethan said. "Ethan," I whispered. He raised a hand. "Just let me see." That tiny gesture cut deep. Not because he wanted evidence. Because after everything Patricia had done that morning, he still gave her accusation enough weight to investigate me. His phone buzzed. 3 screenshots appeared. He opened the first. My name was at the top. Rachel Bennett. Below it was a text conversation. I read the messages. "Once the wedding happens, I'll finally have access. I just need Ethan to stop listening to his mother. After that, everything gets easier." I stared at the screen. "That's fake." Ethan said nothing. "Ethan, I'm reading. That is not my conversation." The second screenshot showed another message. "Do you know how much the Reynolds Trust is worth?" The reply beneath it said, "Enough." Lauren stepped closer. "These are obviously manufactured." Patricia spoke through the phone. Of course Rachel would say that. I felt heat rise into my face. Who am I supposedly texting? Patricia paused. "That's not important." "It's very important." She deleted the contact name. I almost smiled. The lie was getting sloppy. "Then where did you get the screenshots?" Silence. "Patricia." She cleared her throat. "Someone sent them to me." "Who?" "I promised confidentiality." Lauren whispered. "Convenient." Ethan looked at me. "Rachel, can I see your phone?" That sentence broke something. I stared at him. "You're serious?" "I just want to clear this up." "No. You want me to prove I'm innocent because your mother handed you screenshots. It would take 30 seconds. I stepped backward. "So would believing me." He flinched. I could see conflict on his face. But I was tired of interpreting conflict as loyalty. Then Melissa interrupted. "Actually, we may be able to verify the screenshots." We all turned. She pointed at Ethan's phone. "If those texts are supposed to be recent, there may be metadata in the original images." Patricia immediately said, "This is ridiculous." Melissa continued. "And hotel security has already confirmed your mother lied about entering the bridal suite." Patricia snapped. "Stay out of family business." Melissa's expression hardened. "You made it hotel business when you stole property from one of our guests." Ethan closed his eyes. "Mom, send the original files." "No." "Why?" "Because I don't appreciate being interrogated." "Send them." Her voice changed. "Ethan, send them." For once, he sounded like a man speaking to his mother instead of a boy trying not to upset her. Patricia hung up. Lauren exhaled. "Well, that answers that." But I wasn't satisfied. Fake messages didn't create themselves. Someone had made them. And Patricia had expected Ethan to believe them. That meant this wasn't just about ruining my dress. She had planned a second attack. The sample gown arrived 20 minutes later. It was beautiful. Not mine, but beautiful. I stood in front of the mirror while Lauren zipped it. The skirt fell softly around me. My grandmother's dress was destroyed, but I was still standing. Lauren met my eyes in the mirror. "Do you want to marry him?" That question scared me more than anything Patricia had done. "I love him." "That's not what I asked." I swallowed. Before I could answer, someone knocked. Natalie walked in. Ethan's sister looked pale. "I need to talk to Rachel alone." Lauren crossed her arms. "No offense, but today isn't exactly a great day for surprise Reynolds family meetings." Natalie looked at me. "It's about the screenshots." My heartbeat accelerated. "What about them?" "I know who made them." Lauren's expression changed. I stepped closer. "Who?" Natalie's eyes filled with tears. "My mother." I almost laughed. "I already knew that." "No." She shook her head. "You don't understand." Natalie pulled out her phone. "She didn't make them today." She opened an old group message. I found these on her tablet 3 months ago. My stomach dropped. 3 months. She had been planning this for months. Natalie showed me messages Patricia had sent to an unfamiliar number. I need something convincing. Make it look like Rachel is asking questions about the trust. Another message followed. Nothing too obvious. Ethan has to believe he discovered it himself. My hands started shaking. Who was she texting? Natalie looked away. A private investigator. Lauren whispered. You have got to be kidding me. Natalie shook her head. He's not a real investigator. He used to work with Dad. He does background checks and other things. What other things? I don't know. Then I saw another message. Patricia had written, if the screenshots don't work, I'll handle the dress. I stared at Natalie. She planned both. Natalie nodded. She wanted you humiliated enough to cancel. My throat tightened. Why are you telling me? Because up until now, Natalie had defended her mother every single time. She had called me dramatic, unreasonable, divisive. Natalie began crying. Because she did this before. The words hit me like cold water. To who? Natalie sat down. To Ethan's last serious girlfriend. I stared at her. Ethan had told me about Vanessa. They dated for nearly 2 years. He said the relationship ended because they wanted different things. Natalie shook her head. That's not why. What happened? Mom convinced Ethan that Vanessa cheated. My mouth went dry. She faked that too. Natalie nodded. She found messages between Vanessa and a coworker and edited them to make them look romantic. Could barely breathe. Did Ethan ever find out? No. Why didn't you tell him? Natalie wiped her face. Because Mom told me Vanessa was trying to break up our family. The same story. Different woman. Suddenly everything became clear. Patricia didn't dislike me because of something I had done. She didn't hate the dress. She didn't care about the venue. She wasn't protecting Ethan from me. She was protecting her control over him. And she had done it before. I found Ethan in a private lounge downstairs. He looked exhausted. I placed Natalie's phone in front of him. Read. He read every message. His face changed slowly. Confusion. Disbelief. Then horror. Natalie, is this real? She nodded. Mom did the same thing to Vanessa. He looked up sharply. What? Natalie told him everything. When she finished, Ethan sat completely still. I watched the truth settle over him. Then he whispered, I ended that relationship because of her. Nobody answered. He looked at me. I'm sorry. I wanted those words to fix something. They didn't. I believed her again, he said. Yes. I didn't accuse you. You asked to search my phone. He lowered his head. I know. There it was. The moment I had been avoiding all day. Patricia was cruel. But Patricia wasn't the only problem. Every time she attacked me, Ethan left the door open. Every time she lied, he asked me to explain. Every time she crossed a boundary, he asked me to be patient. Patricia had destroyed my dress. But Ethan had spent 3 years teaching her that our relationship could survive anything she did. The ceremony was now 40 minutes away. Guests were seated downstairs. My father was waiting to walk me down the aisle. Ethan stood. Rachel, I'm going to fix this. How? I'll call security. Mom won't be allowed inside. That's not enough. I'll cut contact. I stared at him. Today. Yes. Because she finally did something you couldn't explain away? He flinched. Rachel, please. I looked at my reflection in a nearby mirror. New dress. Perfect makeup. Beautiful flowers. Everything looked ready for a wedding. But I wasn't. Then Melissa rushed into the room. Rachel, there's a situation downstairs. My stomach sank. What now? Patricia came back. Ethan stood immediately. She's not coming inside. Melissa shook her head. She already did. How? She entered through the catering entrance. Lauren cursed. Where is she? Melissa looked directly at me. At the reception hall. My heartbeat accelerated. What is she doing? Melissa hesitated. She has a microphone. Then the speakers throughout the hotel crackled. Patricia's voice echoed down the hallway. Before my son makes the biggest mistake of his life, there's something every guest here deserves to know. What would you have done if you discovered your future mother-in-law had spent months creating fake evidence to destroy your relationship, and had done the same thing to your fiancé's previous girlfriend? Would you still marry Ethan, or would his years of defending his mother be enough to make you walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments. Patricia's voice boomed through the reception hall before anyone could stop her. Rachel Bennett has been lying to my son. Froze. Ethan was already moving. I'm ending this. Followed him. So did Lauren and Natalie. By the time we reached the ballroom doors, nearly every guest had turned toward Patricia. She stood beside the DJ booth holding a microphone. The room that had been filled with soft music and quiet conversation was now silent. My parents were near the front. My mother looked horrified. My father looked ready to drag Patricia out himself. Patricia spotted me. There she is. Ethan stepped between us. Give me the microphone. No. Mom. You deserve to know the truth. I know the truth. Her expression shifted. For the first time I saw panic. She hadn't expected Natalie to talk. She hadn't expected Ethan to stop defending her. You don't know anything, she said. I know about Vanessa. The room went still. Patricia's face drained of color. Natalie walked forward. I showed him everything. Patricia stared at her daughter. You betrayed me. Natalie actually laughed. No, Mum. I stopped helping you betray everyone else. Murmurs moved through the room. Patricia tightened her grip on the microphone. This is ridiculous. I stepped forward. My dress is destroyed. People gasped. My wedding dress was found cut apart in Patricia's trunk. More whispers. Patricia snapped. You cannot prove I cut it. Melissa appeared near the ballroom entrance. Yes, we can. She held up a tablet. Security footage shows you entering an empty conference room with a dress and leaving 14 minutes later carrying scissors. Patricia's mouth opened. No words came out. For 3 years, she had survived by keeping every attack private. A comment at dinner. Fake smile. A whisper when Ethan left the room. That was her power. She made people doubt what happened because nobody else saw it. But now the entire room saw her. And she couldn't rewrite the moment fast enough. Richard, Ethan's father, stood from his chair. Patricia, what did you do? She looked at him. Oh, don't start pretending you're surprised. His face changed. What does that mean? You knew Rachel was wrong for him. I never said to destroy her wedding dress. Patricia laughed bitterly. You never had the courage to do anything. Something in Ethan's expression hardened. Stop. Patricia looked at him. You think she loves you? Yes. She wants your money. No, she doesn't. I showed you proof. You showed me fake screenshots. The guests murmured again. Patricia's eyes darted toward Natalie. You had no right to go through my tablet. Natalie shook her head. You paid someone to create fake messages. My mother covered her mouth. I wanted to disappear. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, hundreds of white roses surrounded a public family collapse. My eyes burned. I hated Patricia for doing this. But more than that, I hated that a part of me was still wondering how to make everyone comfortable. Should I leave quietly? Should I ask guests to wait? Should I forgive Ethan because he finally believed me? Then Lauren reached for my hand. Her grip grounded me. I remembered something my grandmother used to say. Never set yourself on fire so everybody else can stay warm. I looked at Ethan. He seemed devastated. And I loved him. That was the worst part. Love didn't disappear just because clarity arrived. He walked toward me. Rachel, I am so sorry. I nodded slowly. I know. We can still do this. My heart tightened. What? The wedding. He glanced around the room. We send her away. We take 10 minutes. We breathe. Then we get married. For 1 second I almost agreed. The flowers were here. The guests were here. My parents were here. A replacement dress was waiting upstairs. Everything cost so much money, so much time, so much hope. But then I heard what he had actually said. We send her away. As though Patricia was the only issue. I looked at him. When I told you she hated me, what did you say? He went quiet. When she invited Vanessa to that barbecue. Rachel. What did you say? He looked down. That mom didn't mean anything by it. When she insulted me at my bridal shower. I apologized for that. You apologized after I begged you to say something. He swallowed. When she kept calling me your friend. I should have stopped it. When she accused me of tearing apart your family. I should have defended you. He nodded. And this morning when my dress disappeared. Pain crossed his face. I asked you to wait. You asked me to calm down. I know. Then she accused me of marrying you for money. I didn't believe her. You asked to search my phone. The room became painfully quiet. Ethan stared at me. I felt tears slide down my face. This isn't about one ruined dress. I know. No. I don't think you do. I touched his hand. I have spent 3 years competing with your mother for permission to exist in your life. He started crying. That almost broke me. Rachel, please. I love you. Then marry me. The words hung between us. And I realized love was not the question. Safety was. Trust was. Whether I wanted to spend the next 20 years wondering how terrible something had to become before Ethan believed me. I slowly removed my engagement ring. Ethan stared at it. No. I placed it in his palm. I can't marry you today. His face crumpled. Please don't do this because of her. I'm not. I looked directly into his eyes. I'm doing it because of us. Behind him, Patricia made a strange sound. Laugh. Turned. She was smiling. That smile told me everything. She thought she had won. She had wanted the wedding cancelled. She had spent months planning for it. She had destroyed my dress. She had fabricated messages. She had humiliated me in front of everyone. And now I was standing there without a fiancé. Patricia lifted her chin. I knew eventually you'd show everyone who you really are. Something inside me snapped into place. Not rage. Strength. I walked toward her. You think you won. Her smile faltered. You got what you wanted, I said. The wedding is cancelled. She glanced at Ethan. Then back at me. But you didn't save your family. I pointed toward Natalie. You lost your daughter today. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. I looked at Richard. You publicly humiliated your husband. Then I looked at Ethan. And your son finally knows what you did to Vanessa. Patricia's face tightened. You destroyed my dress because you thought destroying me would keep everyone close to you. I stepped closer. But look around. Nobody was standing beside her. Not Richard. Not Natalie. Not Ethan. For the first time all day, Patricia looked afraid. I handed Melissa the microphone. My wedding is cancelled. Gasps filled the room. But the food is paid for. A few confused laughs followed. I wiped my face. So eat. Lauren smiled. The bar is paid for too. That got a bigger laugh. I looked at our guests. I'm sorry this isn't the celebration you expected. My father called from the front. We came for you, sweetheart. My mother nodded through tears. And suddenly I understood. A wedding had ended. But I hadn't. I walked upstairs, changed out of the sample gown, washed off my makeup, and sat alone for the first time all day. About 20 minutes later, someone knocked. I expected Lauren. It was Ethan. His eyes were red. I'm not asking you to change your mind. He nodded. He held out an envelope. What's this? Something Natalie found. Opened it. Inside were printed emails between Patricia and the man she had paid to create the fake screenshots. But one email was different. It wasn't about me. It was about Ethan. Patricia had asked the man to secretly monitor her own son's bank accounts, travel, phone records, and relationships for nearly 5 years. I looked up. Ethan whispered, "She wasn't just controlling you." He swallowed hard. "She's been controlling my entire life." Then his phone rang. It was Richard. Ethan answered. His father spoke for less than 30 seconds. When the call ended, Ethan looked stunned. "What happened?" I asked. He stared at me. "My dad just left my mom." And then he added quietly, "He says this isn't the first time she's done something like this to someone in the family." Richard's decision to leave Patricia should have shocked me more than it did. Instead, I felt strangely calm. Maybe I had reached the point where nothing about that family could surprise me anymore. Ethan sat across from me in the bridal suite, still holding his phone. "My dad says she did something similar to Natalie's first boyfriend." I frowned. "What happened?" "He says Mom convinced Natalie the guy was cheating. She showed her pictures." "Were they real?" Ethan shook his head. "No. Apparently they were taken out of context." I looked toward the window. The sun was beginning to set over Charleston, turning the sky orange and gold. Hours earlier, I had imagined standing beneath that sky as Ethan's wife. Now my engagement ring was gone. My wedding dress was destroyed. And somehow, for the first time all day, I could breathe. Ethan looked at me. "I don't expect you to forgive me." I didn't answer. I should have listened. Yes. I kept thinking keeping the peace was the same thing as protecting our relationship. It wasn't. I know that now. I studied him. His face looked different. Not because he had changed in one afternoon. People don't transform that quickly. But for the first time, he wasn't asking me to comfort him. He wasn't defending Patricia. He wasn't asking me to understand her. He was simply sitting inside the consequences. "I'm going to therapy," he said. He nodded. "You should." "I'm cutting contact with her." "That's your decision." He looked surprised. "You don't care." "I care about you." My voice softened. "But I'm not going to manage your relationship with your mother anymore." He lowered his head. That sentence was as much for me as it was for him. For years, I had believed that if I explained Patricia clearly enough, Ethan would finally choose boundaries. That had become another kind of trap. His boundaries were his responsibility. Mine were mine. Later that evening, Lauren convinced me to go downstairs. I expected an awkward, half-empty reception hall. Instead, music was playing. People were eating. My father was laughing with one of my cousins. My mother was handing out slices of wedding cake. The cake topper had been removed. Lauren leaned toward me. "You paid for a party." "We're having a party." I laughed. Real laugh. The first one all day. Then my father saw me. He walked over and held out his hand. "Dance with me." My eyes filled with tears. I thought this was supposed to be after the ceremony. So, I took his hand. We danced anyway. Not father and bride. Just father and daughter. Halfway through the song he whispered, "I'm proud of you. For canceling my own wedding. For not abandoning yourself just because everyone else was already seated." That sentence stayed with me. I had spent so much time worrying about embarrassment. What would guests think? What would people say? How much money had we wasted? But staying in a marriage because leaving would be embarrassing would have cost far more than cancelled flowers and untouched wedding favors. Patricia did not return that night. Hotel security had removed her from the property. Richard checked into another hotel. Natalie stayed at the reception. Ethan left early. And I went home with Lauren. The next morning my phone had 27 missed calls. Most were from relatives checking on me. 3 were from Patricia. I blocked her number without listening to the voicemail. That felt surprisingly easy. The difficult part came later. Breaking up with Ethan permanently was not immediate. For the next 6 months we talked. We attended counseling separately. Then together. Ethan apologized without excuses. He told Vanessa the truth about what his mother had done years earlier. He apologized to her too. He moved out of the house his parents helped him buy because Patricia had used the financial connection to control him. He changed banks, changed passwords, and for the first time in his life, he stopped giving his mother access to everything. But none of that automatically repaired us. That was something I needed to learn. Growth does not create obligation. Someone can change, and you can still decide the damage was too deep. About 8 months after the cancelled wedding, Ethan asked me to dinner. We met at a quiet restaurant. He looked healthier, lighter. "I still love you," he said. My chest tightened. "I still love you too." Hope appeared in his eyes. Then I continued. "But love isn't enough for me anymore." He looked down. "I understand. I don't want to spend our marriage wondering whether you'll believe me when things get hard." "I would. Maybe." I reached across the table and touched his hand. "But I don't want to marry the person you might become. I need to trust the person standing in front of me." He cried quietly. So did I. That was the last romantic conversation we ever had. We didn't become enemies. We didn't become friends either. We simply let each other go. Patricia tried contacting me twice after that. The first time, she sent a letter claiming I had destroyed her family. Threw it away. The second time, she sent another letter saying she wanted to apologize. I didn't read past the first paragraph. I didn't need her apology anymore. Richard eventually divorced her. Natalie stayed in therapy and rebuilt her relationship with her father. Ethan remained no contact with Patricia for years, from what I heard. As for me, I rebuilt too. Slowly. Focused on my business. I traveled. I went back to the bridal boutique where I had purchased my ruined dress. The seamstress had saved some of the undamaged lace. I asked her to turn it into something small. A year later, she gave me a framed piece of lace surrounding one tiny pearl. I placed it beside a photograph of my grandmother. Not as a reminder of the wedding that failed. As a reminder that something beautiful can survive destruction. 3 years later, I met a man named Caleb. On our 4th date, he asked me what I had learned from my last relationship. I told him the truth. I learned that anyone who loves me has to believe me before the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. He didn't laugh. He said, "That sounds fair." 2 years later, when Caleb proposed, I said yes. Our wedding was small. 60 guests. No ballroom. No giant guest list. No family politics. I wore a simple ivory dress. And hidden inside the lining was one small pearl from my grandmother's original gift. Before walking down the aisle, I looked at myself in the mirror. For a second, I remembered the clown costume. I remembered the shredded lace. I remembered Patricia smiling when she thought she had one. She hadn't. Because winning was never getting Ethan. Winning was refusing to lose myself. Sometimes the most important thing that happens at a wedding is not getting married. Sometimes it is finally seeing clearly enough to walk away. Have you ever experienced betrayal like this? What would you have done if your mother-in-law destroyed your wedding dress and your fiancé kept defending her until the truth became undeniable? Would you have cancelled the wedding too, or given him another chance? Share your story and your thoughts in the comments.